All right, everyone, we've already got positive economic news. Now, there are qualifications to this, so keep that in mind. This is the Nuance channel. Link in the description, not archived. This is from the Trump War Room on Facebook. Core inflation is now negative, and basic bitch inflation fell to 2.4%. Therefore, it's a little bit lower than expected. It came in fairly cool. It is still rising. Here's the nuance. Here's the problem. When you have in the prior year considerable inflation, and we did under Joe Biden for several years, then if you have any inflation at all, it's still not good. Your hope is that it's tacking behind wage growth. I believe in this particular instance, it actually is. This is something that economists didn't think Donald Trump would be able to accomplish. Certainly not this quickly. It's only the middle of April. He's only been in office for a few months, by the way. Still in his first 100 days, actually. That being said, he's managed to accomplish apparently a very great deal. Supposedly, he's destroying the economy with his tariff wars, but then you have this. Inflation falling is a good thing. My hope is that he does what he did in his first term, which is that he manages to hold inflation down below 2%, and in some cases, it even went negative. For several quarters, during his first term, there was no inflation. There was a deflationary economy. And that's wonderful. Ah, you mean that people are making the same amount, but their purchasing power is considerably higher and they can buy more stuff? That tends to help the economy. When they buy more stuff, especially if you're waging a tariff war and therefore more stuff is domestic, that's going to really help your economy. I think that Donald Trump understands this. I think that he and the people that are advising him on the economy, generally speaking, have sort of collaborated to build a system to reshape the economy. It's sort of, again, it's like a soft reboot or something like that. If something is not working, you don't have to throw it out the window. You can always repair it. Donald Trump is the repairer as opposed to the destroyer of the entire system. He realizes the basic premise is there, but it's not working fundamentally in the pragmatic sense. And so he's trying to go after that. The fact that he's managed to bring inflation down that far in such a short time, especially with core like the CPI inflation literally going negative, that's something we have not seen in years. Under Joe Biden, every inflationary measure was sharply up, and it was sharply up for several years during his administration. Donald Trump has already managed to make it level out. This is the soft landing that I spoke of. I spoke of this during the election itself. I said you've got two choices. It's sort of like being offered the red pill and the blue pill. You can fess up to the reality that the system's not working, realize the reality is that you need to change it, or you can remain ignorant with Kamala Harris and just let things slide. Things will go in the same direction, the same shitty direction, and we'll have a hard landing. With Trump, at least we have a chance. Donald Trump is probably not going to be able to avoid the US economy falling into recession, but all signs, generally speaking, point in a positive direction. That is, he's going to get the blame. I already know the articles write themselves. You know it, I know it. What's going to happen is the US economy will fall into a recession. I mean, unless he literally grabs that magic wand again and waves it around. The US economy falls into a recession and people blame Trump, even though the damage had already been done before he was the president of the United States. Formulaic. Oftentimes, presidencies, they usually inadvertently, but sometimes it seems on purpose, lay the groundwork for the subsequent administration to fucking fail because they expect the subsequent administration will not be part of their party. They literally will punish the American people in order to punish a political entity. They've been doing this over and over for a long time, and it ain't just Democrats that have done this, by the way. But inflation, at least on that particular metric, has fallen further than expected. It's now at 2.4. Now, I wish it was in the negative range. That would be lovely. That would be wonderful. Having the ability to buy goods is usually a good thing. Oh man, I can actually afford that loaf of bread now. Finally, I've been starving for the last couple of days. That's what you want for the economy. But the fact that the CPI has gone negative is actually incredible when you think about it. I mean, we were looking at insane numbers over the last couple of years under Joe Biden. They were absolutely batshit. Finally, it seems to have cooled down. Now, this is more of a leveling out. It's not that inflation is falling. You still have that inflation, but it's tacking behind wage growth. Finally, and unemployment remains quite low, so you actually have a fairly strong economy right now. My belief is that Donald Trump believes, and he's probably right, that by engaging in tariff wars, we can lower prices generally across the board and increase more domestic production. If the country doesn't negotiate with you, you force them out of your market. If the country does negotiate with you, it means a more favored status with them on trade and thus lowered cost of goods. Either way, you win. A tariff war is something that other countries have engaged in repeatedly. They do it because it works. The United States has simply gritted its teeth and shrugged it off and said, well, we're only being abused a little. Okay, now we're only being abused a little more. Hey, we'll write a strongly worded letter because now it's becoming a little bit much. And nobody gives a damn about it. Nobody's going to respond to that. The whole strongly worded letter apparatus of the United States fails every single time. Nobody cares about your red lines, your strongly worded letters, and so forth. They care about actual action. When you actually take action, they say, the world's largest economy is bearing down on me. And unfortunately, 10% of my trade is going to them. And now they're threatening to double tariffs on those trade goods. Maybe I'd better come to the negotiating table and try to be reasonable. That's the whole fucking point. But liberal economists and people in the legacy media will tell you that Donald Trump is destroying the economy. Yeah, he really destroyed it with the 2.4 inflation. Yeah, he destroyed the economy. We're totally nosediving right now. We're doing fine. It's just a matter of having the long-term will to actually succeed at those ventures. You have to have what the Dutch would call a longer breath. You have to have more patience than your opponent and sweat them out. You have to make them back down. Sometimes this can take years. And so Donald Trump already appears to be succeeding, generally speaking. That's about all. Peace out.